Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Nahmaduhu wa nusalli ala rasulihil kareem. So in this lesson, inshallah, we'll be going through Af'al al-Madh wal-Dham, which is the next type of Mu'annas Sama'i. So we have our Maqsud al-Awwal, the Fi'l al-Amil, then we have the Qiyasi verbs, we have Sama'i verbs. In Sama'i, we have 4 types of Sama'i. We have Kana wa Khawatuha, then we have 3. And the logical way of remembering these 3 is what? You hope an action takes place, Af'al al-Raja. Then it comes close to taking place, Af'al al-Muqaraba. Then you start to do it, it becomes Af'al al-Shuru. So you have Kana wa Khawatuha for tenses, and then Af'al al-Raja, Muqaraba and Shuru is the order of the way the action occurs. Now we're moving on to Af'al al-Madh wal-Dham, or Af'al al-Madh wal-Dhammi. And then we're going to look the last one later on. So Af'al al-Madh, what does Madaha Yamdahu Madhan mean? He came in Surah already. Madaha Yamdahu Madhan means what? To praise. Okay, and Dhamma Yadhummu Dhamman is to criticize. So when you want to say how good something is or how bad something is, you can use these particular verbs. So one way is that you can basically say, for example, Al-Qur'anu Hasanun. That's one of the things something is good. Or Ash-Shaytanu Qabihun. That's also praise. This is also praise. It's also Dham. It's also Madah. It's also Dham. But it doesn't have the same emphasis, the same oomph, the same masala, the same spice as these verbs. These verbs a bit more. It has emphasis, it emphasizes, it draws out more color in it. So these are particular verbs for particular structure, particular style, and there's no English equivalent of these as far. It can say exclamation, kind of, but we have a look at it. So here, these af'al have been coined, have been made to denote and to show. Ansha'a yunshi'u means it's like you are doing insha of them. You are trying to like show criticism. And ansha literally means to create. So you can say create, or give the meaning of. To create or to give the meaning of madah and dham. So it is that which has been coined to create or give the meaning of madah and dham. When you want to show madah, you want to praise something or someone, you want to dispraise or criticize someone or something, then you use these particular verbs. Okay? وَهِيَ تَرْفَعُ فَاعِلَهَا وَمَخْصُوصَهَا. This is different. This is the only verb that has 2 marfu. You following? This is the only verb that has 2 marfu after it. So normally you would have what? Fi'l lazim, you have a fi'l, 1 marfu, and then you have the mansub. And that mansub will either be the maf'ul bihi or the khabar, the fi'l naqis. But this has 2 marfu after it. The fa'il and makhsoos. What's a makhsoos? I'll explain an example. You've done this already in Surah, but I'll explain it again here. وَهِيَ خَمْسَةٌ. There are 5 af'al. These are 5 af'al. 5 af'al we're going to use here. Al-awwalu ni'mah. The first one, the first fi'lul madah is ni'mah. What does ni'mah mean? Madah. So this is for good, how good. So ni'mah, it makes this is called the fa'il. The first one is called the fa'il. And this is called the maqsoos. And this becomes marfu'. And this becomes marfu'. So ni'matil ibadatu salah. So really what this means is, so this is the maqsoos. So you basically translate this first. This first. Then you translate this. Then you translate this. So here, salah. Salah is a very good worship or form of worship. An exclamation. It creates that emphasis, and you want to praise it. You want to say, wow. Okay? So this is called the second word. This is called the maqsoos, and the first word is called the fa'il. Do you understand? So it has and the ni'mah makes both of them marfu. It has 2 of them and both become marfu. Yes? Are you following me? Everybody understand this? Yes, and this probably already came in Surah. So the pattern of ni'mah is rare. Some say is see, remember if you bring change, it shows different. So some say, you don't have to know this, but you're asking. So some say it's really from the word na'ima. And because it's not used for the normal meaning, it has a different meaning, it changes to ni'mah. But you just have to say, well, it's ni'mah, sama. The Arabs use it as sama, as ni'mah, so we say ni'mah. Understood? Okay. The next one for madah is habadha. What is it? Habadha. Same thing. Habadha Khalidun. Khalid is a top bloke. Great mate. Good lad. Very good person. What's the i'rab of this? We do an i'rab section. What's the tarkib? We do it again. We got one example. We do this one later on. So habadha. So ni'mah is very common. Habadha doesn't come in the Quran. It comes in a few hadith and it comes in poetry. And ni'mah comes in the Quran. Ni'mah thawab, etc. Bi'sa. We did this already. Same thing. Bi'sa is bad. So khuluq means character. So bi'sa al-khuluqul kasalu. So kasal meaning laziness is a very bad character. So bi'sa al-khuluqul kasalu. So kasal, laziness is a very bad characteristic. Understood? So instead of having ni'mah, you have bi'sa. Another one of part of bi'sa is sa'a. What do you have? Sa'a. For example, sa'a al-khuluqu al-bukhlu. So kasal is laziness. To be lazy. So being lazy is a very bad character. And the bukhlu is stinginess. Being stingy, where you shouldn't be stingy. Stinginess. Okay? So both of these are now dispraise. This is for them. This is for them. These two are them. And then al-khamis, la habbadha. Instead of habbadha, you have la habbadha. So la habbadha al-kibru. Kibru, pride. Pride is no good. But if you say al-kibru shay'un qabihun, yeah, al-kibru qabihun is bad. It's just like a bit boring, a bit bland. When you say la habbadha, al-sa'a, bi'sa, it gives more enthusiasm. It gives more of a deeper meaning. So these are the five. You have two for madah and you have three for them. Ni'mah and habbadha, bi'sa, sa'a and la habbadha. So these five are sama'i verbs which are used in a special way to show praise or dispraise of the مخصوص that comes after it. Any questions regarding this? Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Nahmaduhu wa nusalli ala rasulihil kareem. So moving on, we're going to explain a few rules regarding the فعل المدح والذم. So as I said before, the word قد means surely, it's harf al-tahqiq, but when it comes before فعل مضارع, it means sometimes. Okay? So sometimes the مخصوص. What does مخصوص mean? The second word after ni'mah and bi'sa. So you have the فعل مدح والذم, ni'mah or bi'sa, how good, how bad. Then after that you have a fa'il, the thing you're talking about, and then you have the مخصوص, the third word. So that مخصوص can be removed. إن دل عليه السياق. Now siyaq literally means saqa yasuqu means to drive. That's why you have a driver is called a sa'iq, a driver. So the thing that drives it. So siyaq here means the context, i.e. the word or the sentences before it. You can context it easy as context, or we can say here the sentences or the context before it, because siyaq means to drive something from behind, the thing that comes before it. So if the sentence is before it, it's like when we speak in English, we use pronouns. If I say, for example, brilliant, what does brilliant mean? That is brilliant, or brilliant it is. I don't have to keep on saying it is brilliant, because we know it is mahdhuf, meaning what you just done, what you just said. So when you have a sentence, like example here, look. Allahu waliyul mu'mineen. Allah is the guardian of the believers. Allah is the guardian, the one who looks after. So wali. So now Allahu waliyul mu'mineen. This is a sentence. Okay? Right? Allah is the guardian of the believers. Then you have wa ni'mal wali. So ni'mah, normally what should it have? What's ni'mah becoming? What's ni'mah? What's the word wali becoming? What should we have after it? The مخصوص. Or what's it supposed to be the مخصوص? Ni'mal wali? Allahu. Allah is a very good guardian. So Allah is a guardian of the believers. Wa ni'mal waliyullah. Wali Allahu. But because this has been mentioned previously here, there's no need to repeat it because it's repetition. Do you understand? So now, because the previous sentences, the siyaq, the content, the previous sentences denotes what the alayhi denotes it, meaning it tells us. So even if we remove this sentence here, what do we have? We still understand what we're talking about. So we don't have to do what? We don't have to mention it. It makes life easier. By not having it, it saves us time, it saves us, and obviously, speaking brief and succinct and concise is important, it saves us time. Do you understand? Are you following me? So, the first rule is, sometimes the maqsoos of the fa'lul madah can be removed, madah or dham, if the context allows it. And this is very common, as in the Quran, you never have the maqsoos mentioned. Yes? You always have the maqsoos mahdhuf in the Quran. Because why? It's been mentioned in previous verses. So then you don't need to mention it again and again. So for example, in the Quran, Allah says, Ni'mal abd. Ni'mal abd. What does this mean? He is a very great servant. Which servant are you talking about? The one mentioned in the previous verse. Ni'mal abdu ayyub. Ni'mal abd. Whoever's been talked about in the previous verse, he's a maqsoos. So there's no need to mention it directly. Do you understand? Okay, you following? Everybody following? The next masala, for the English, don't try to say why. Because we can't try to understand the Arabic language based on our styles. It will seem very weird to us, but this is where the Arabs speak. So the first thing is, get an idea in your mind. Yeah? If we speak the same style, the same words every time, it's boring. Language is boring. Language is supposed to have creativity, it's supposed to draw your attention, and that's why the Quran is eloquent. And that's why Allah, the Quran is written in the Arabic language, because it has the potential to show many meanings and has great features which are not available in other languages. Okay? So what we have to do is remember the original rule is whenever you change something away from the original, it creates emphasis. Yes? So for example, if I wanted, let's say for example, I wanted to really show you something very, very important. Like for example, in teaching methodology, so if you've got a really, really important lesson, do something different that day. Like weird. So everybody sticks in your mind that day. Like say for example, I don't know, come in class and I don't know, pop a balloon. Say, what? What are you doing? Like, you pop a balloon, everybody's like, hey, what's going on here? Remember that day? So now that masala I told you, on the day I popped the balloon. So yeah, I remember that day. So when you do something different, it draws attention. Yes? So in the Arabic language, the same structure applies. Okay? So what happens here? Let me give you an example here. So in Arabic language, whenever you see a structure different to the normal, it means that it wants to create emphasis. It's trying to draw your attention. It's trying to do something. So what do we have here? We have here, يَجُوزُ أَن يَكُونَ فَاعِلُ أَفْعَالِ الْمَدْحِ وَالذَّمِّ. So it is possible. What is jais? This is the fa'il. This is jais. This rule is permissible. What's permissible? We know what the fa'il is. And let's do the khabar of kana. Kana. And then this is the khabar, ism of kana. This is the khabar of kana. So the fa'il of the af'al al-madh wa dham can be, because yajuzu can be. What can it be? You have now many not. It can be a zamir. And zamir, mustatir. You know zamir mustatir is hidden within the verb. Okay? Mufassaran, explained, or clarified. Explained or clarified bi tamyizin. By a tamyiz. It's like, for example, let's say, for example, you got a documentary or you got a thing. What do you want? You want to keep the person, you want to keep the attention, grab the attention. So you have things that are ambiguous, make you think, what's going on here? What's hidden? This is a style of literature, in books, in novels, in films, because why? So in the Arabic language, this also occurs. Let's say, for example, I say ni'mat, ibadatan. So what's happening here? Really, simply, this should be ni'matil ibadatu as-salah. Salah is a very good worship, very good form of worship. That's simple. This becomes the fa'il. Yes? And this becomes what? The makhsoos. Yes? Everybody understand this? But to create a different flavor, a different style, to draw attention, to grab the mukhatab, the addressee's attention. What do? They make the fa'il a dhamir mustatir. What is dhamir mustatir in ni'mat? Here, because it's mu'annath. So ni'mat. So in here, the dhamir is here. So it's dhamir mustatir. So this becomes the fa'il in I'rab. But what is it referring to? We don't know. It's ambiguous. So then they instead of bringing, then they bring a tamyiz to clarify that. Ibadatan. Why not say ni'matul ibadah? Why not just say ni'matul ibadah? So in terms of the objective, this and this serve the same purpose. But you say ni'matil ibadatu, ni'ma fa'il, ibadatu the fa'il. But if you say ni'mat ibadatan, you've hidden the fa'il, then you've expressed it. It's like a different style. It's like, guess what? Instead of saying, it's raining outside, I say, guess what? It's snowing. So it's, oh, okay. So if I just said, it's snowing, guess what? It's snowing. You see a difference in the style. So what do you do? So in terms of the objective, you get this in both of the sentences. It's snowing outside. Guess what? It's snowing. Both give you the same information. It's snowing. But one of them makes, first of all, even if before I give you a chance to even answer the question, I've drawn your attention. So now it's more emphatic. It's more hitting home, hitting the heart. So that's what we say here. So that's why they do here. Ni'mat ibadatan is the same as ni'matul ibadah in terms of the ultimate goal of telling you ibadah is a very good worship. However, this structure, it draws, it's different. When it's different, you think about it more. So that's a style. So the Arab do this. Ni'mat ibadatan as-salah. Same meaning as ni'mat ibadatu as-salah. So for example, in the Quran, وَسَاءَتْ مُرْتَفَقًا. It comes from Surah Kahf. So what happens here? So sa'at, what's the fa'il in here? What's the fa'il going to be? The hiya. You following? Then you have what? This is now explaining to us, this is a tamiz. It's a tamiz, but in function, it gives the same meaning as the fa'il. And then I told you before, that in the Quran, the mخصوص bil madah, or the mخصوص is always mahdhuf. And the previous verses is about Jahannam. So وَسَاءَتْ مُرْتَفَقًا Jahannam. But it's mahzuf, you don't have to mention it, because why? The siyaq, the previous verses denote what it is. So this verse means Jahannam is a very bad, murtafaqan, place to rest, place to go to. But instead of saying sa'atil murtafaqu Jahannam, you have sa'at murtafaqa. So now so the mخصوص is mahzuf, and this becomes tamiz. Tamiz of what? Of the dhamir inside. Dhamir mustatir. Why have this structure? It grabs more. It's away from the normal structure, so it creates more emphasis. Understood? So if you look at the Quranic verse here, ni'ma thawab. So look, ni'ma thawab is an example of both. Ni'ma thawabu, the first part of the verb. So in here we have two parts in it after ni'ma. So what's mahzuf in here? What's missing in here? So ni'ma is the fa'lul what? Fa'lul madhi. What is thawab becoming? It's a fa'il. And what's missing? Why is it mahzuf? Because the previous verses were talking about Jannah. So you automatically know that Jannah, so basically means here, Al-Jannah. It's mahzuf because from the context, no point of saying it again. It's already mentioned before. We're talking about it. The whole paragraph is about, the whole ayat is about Jannah. So ni'ma thawab, ay al-Jannah. But you don't mean to mention it, it's mentioned before. So we say here, Jannah is a very great reward. What's the next part of the verse? وَحَسُنَتْ مُرْتَفَقًا. Now what's happening here now? Again, what's mahzuf in here? The mخصوص is mahzuf because the previous verse. Now here, in meaning, what's murtafaq becoming in meaning? So it's the fa'il, isn't it, really? However, it's not come as a fa'il. The fa'il in tarkib and i'rab, the fa'il is here. And then this is the tamyiz. So the fa'il is the here, and there's a tamyiz. If you look at the meaning, it could be what? وَحَسُنَتِ الْمُرْتَفَقُ. If you wanted to, in a non-alaikum name, حَسُنَتِ الْمُرْتَفَقُ Al-Jannah. Do you understand? حَسُنَتِ الْمُرْتَفَقُ الْجَنَّةُ. Are you following me? So in that verse, we have both masalas are taking place. One is the mخصوص is being mahzuf, and the second masala is what? The fa'il is becoming a tamyiz, is mustatir, followed by a tamyiz muhawwal. Sorry, a tamyiz to tafsir, mufassiran, is being a tafsir of the zamir. Is that clear? Okay, now, the third masala we're discussing here is the third masala. That حبذا and la حبذا can have a tamyiz. So قد يكون بعد مخصوص حبذا ولا حبذا تمييز. Sometimes after حبذا and لا حبذا you can have a tamyiz. What can you have? You can have a tamyiz. So sometimes قد يكون, sometimes you can have, this is the tamyiz. Okay, so sometimes there can be a tamyiz after this. G. Now, so what we're saying here is that sometimes after the مخصوص of حبذا and لا حبذا we can have a tamyiz. So sometimes after حبذا or لا حبذا we can have a tamyiz. For example, حبذا خالد. So normally we can have simply here حبذا خالد. Khalid is very good. But what's he good? What's he good in being? A neighbor. So we have here now حبذا خالد جارا. So now this is the tamyiz. You following? So to clarify what he's good in. So really what's happening here? Habba is the fa'lu madah. Dha is the fa'il. And this is the makhsoos. But because dha is not very clear, like what do you mean by dha? He is, so it needs clarity. So this tamyiz clarifies what he's good at. So حبذا خالد جارا. Yes? You can say for example حبذا حبذا زينب حبذا زينب معلمة. Zainab is a very good teacher. You get it? So down this حبذا, this معلمة. If you say حبذا زينب, it means Zainab is very good. We're still not sure what she's good at. What aspect is she good at? When you say معلمة, we know as a teacher. Correct? So حبذا خالد جارا. And here we can have also the tamyiz as a, we can have the tamyiz as a shibhul jumla. So حبذا زينب من معلمة. So the jar majroor, shibhul jumla, becomes the tamyiz. So is tamyiz غير صريح. Okay, تمييز غير صريح. You can have a tamyiz صريح or غير صريح. Do you understand? So because حبذا is a فعل مدح, but it's not always very explicit, so then you can add in what? A tamyiz to clarify in which aspect it's good. Have you understood? بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم. So inshallah, what we'll do, we finish the أفعال المدح والذم. We can do the إعراب, but we'll do a few practices and a few practice examples just to let it sink into our minds. Okay? So what do we have here? We have here, look. Let's say, for example, we want to talk about Abdul Rahman and his qira'ah. So let's say we're talking about Sheikh Abdul Rahman al-Sudais, Hafidhahullah. We're talking about him and his qira'ah. So if you want to say he's a very good qari, we want to talk about him and his qira'ah. I want to express our praise for it. So we have ni'mal qari'u Abdul Rahman. Yes? What would ni'ma be? Ni'ma is the fa'lu qalb, fa'lu madah. Al-qari'u becomes what? What's qari'u becomes? A fa'il. And Abdul Rahman is the thing that you are praising, the makhsoos. You got it? Everybody following this? And this is marfu' and this is marfu'. That's one simple way of saying it. Another way we can say as well, we can say حبذا Abdul Rahman. Now, if you say حبذا Abdul Rahman, habba is a fa'il, dha is a fa'il, Abdul Rahman is a makhsoos. But then we're not sure what he's good in. حبذا Abdul Rahman, he's very good. What is he good in? He's good. Then what is this becoming? Qari'an. What does that become? What does that become? It becomes a tamyiz. It is clarifying what he's good in. We can also have the tamyiz as ghayr sarih. So we have here the fa'lu madah, the fa'il is dha, Abdul Rahman is a makhsoos, and then the tamyiz as ghayr sarih, the jar majroor become mahallan mansoob, the tamyiz ghayr sarih. Now, let's say we are giving a whole lecture. We're talking about, we went to Haram, we heard Sheikh Abdul Rahman al-Sudais reading Quran, this. I say, ni'mal qari'u. What's happening here now, in this example? What have we done in this example? We've removed yes. The makhsoos is understood by the context, So we remove it. We say ni'mal qari'u, bas, enough. What if I said, I was so impressed, I said ni'ma qari'an Abdul Rahman. What's happening in this structure? Who can tell me what's happening in this structure? Very good. So what happens here, we say ni'ma, the fa'il is a huwa, zamir mustatir, and you put a tamyiz, and that creates additional emphasis. So ni'mal, instead of saying ni'mal, like instead of saying, this has the same basic translation, but this has more emphasis. It's a double, it's a single. So ni'mal qari'u, ni'ma qari'an Abdul Rahman. And let's say, for example, I was talking about Abdul Rahman as-Sudais rahimahullah, hafidhahullah, in the whole previous sentence. And then I say ni'mu, what's the ni'mu becoming? It's ni', and I say ni'ma qari'an. What's happening here now? What is ni'ma? Ni'ma is a fa'al madah. The zamir is huwa mustatir. This is the tamyiz. And the maqsoos is mahdhuf, understood from the context. You see how we can have different ways and different styles of doing the madah? You got it? Everybody understood this? Okay, next, another example. We have khiyana. Khiyana means treachery, betrayal. And sajiyya means character. So same structure again. A very simple example will be fa'lul madah, fa'lul dham. We have bi'sati sajiyya. This is the fa'il. This becomes the maqsoos. So bi'sati sajiyyatul khiyana. Because there's sa'at as well. So bi'sa is sa'at. So sa'at is, and we translate this first. Treachery is a very bad quality. Okay? La habadha al-khiyana. When we have la habadha al-khiyana, khiyana is very bad. But what is it bad in? Sajiyatan. Tamiz. Min sajiyatin. Tamiz ghaysari. So la habadha, you have here and here, you have the fa'il and the maqsoos, but it's not very clear. So you have to have a tamiz or tamiz ghaysari. You can't have a tamiz. Then, if you're talking about khiyana, you don't need to put the maqsoos. You want to put bi'sat sajiyya. We understand from the context. If we want to create emphasis, we can put the zamir here, mustatir, put a tamiz to clarify it, and then the khiyana is that. And if you're talking about it in the previous sentence, then we can say bi'sat, and then this is the here, this is the zamir, fa'il, this is the tamiz, and the maqsoos is mahzuf. Understand from the context. Yes? Is it clear to everybody? Is it following? Yes, a few examples we have here. So hopefully you understood how the word the fa'lu madah and the fa'lu dham is used. Now the i'rab. Okay. Ni'matil ibadatus salah. Ni'matil ibadatus salah. So how would we do this here? We would say ni'mat. Anji, who's going to do it with me? Bismillah. Ni'ma. It's a فعل ماض فعل ماض للمدح مبني على الفتح. Correct? Then the ta is what? التاء للتأنيث. We say التاء للتأنيث, then we say what? كسرت. It's been given a cut. So you say تاء تأنيث مبني على الواء على السكون. فتحت مبني على السكون. But then for joining purposes you say كسرت. It has been given a kasra. كسرت لالتقاء الساكنين. It's become maksur because of two sakins coming together. كسرت لالتقاء الساكنين. العبادة فاعل مرفوع بالضمة. Now this is a bit different here now. Now what they say here is this ni'matil ibadah becomes a jumla. Okay? And this jumla ni'matil ibadah becomes the what? Khabarun muqaddam. What did it become? The khabar muqaddam. And as-salah becomes what? Mubtada'un mu'akhkharun. So in your tarkib, what did it say here? So if you do tarkib, you will say here, this is what? Mubtada مؤخر. This becomes what? خبر مقدم. And then this is made up of what? فعل and فاعل. That's how you do the tarkib of it. Now the word مخصوص, and now where the word مخصوص fit in, that's a bit of a, so there's other way of doing إعراب of this, but this is the most simplest way. But this is how you do it. In tarkib, you do خبر مقدم, you write like this, tarkib. خبر مقدم أو مبتدأ مؤخر فعل فاعل. And in إعراب, you do it like this. Same thing. But what they say here is that the مخصوص is actually the مخصوص is actually the mubtada. Okay? And that's what we're talking about. That's why when we translate it, what do we say? We translate salah first, don't we? That is a mubtada. Salah is a very good ibadah, a very good form of worship. That's why you put salah first. Salah is. You following? Okay, Bismillah. Abdul Qudus, brother Abdul Qudus. Let's do our i'rab of this. How do we i'rab of this? Wa alaykum as-salam. لا حرف نفي، لا بحرف نفي مبني not على الفتح، لا not لا it's لا. So مبني على السكون. Good. And then after that we have حبة فعل ماض للمدح. Oh, okay, للذم. Yes, sorry, لا للذم. My mistake. للذم مبني على الفتح. Okay. Then ذا فاعل. What is ذا? Let's put what is ذا anyways. You say اسم. That is the اسم الإشارة. So really we normally have what we've done basically. We normally have هذا or ذلك. But really the ha, it has a separate function. The kaf have a separate function, and we do that later on. And the main harf, the main ism al-ishara is a dha by itself. But it always comes with hadha, dhalika anyways. But a few places like this. So we say dha is the ism al-ishara. That becomes the fa'ilun marfu'un mahallan. Okay? Good. Then, but the la habadha, the jumla becomes what? The jumla of la habadha becomes khamarun muqaddam marfu'un mahallan. Marfu'un mahallan. And then the kibru becomes what? Mubtadun mu'akhkharun marfu'un bil dhammati. Okay, marfu'un bil dhammati. You got it? Any questions regarding that? G. Yeah. فعل ماض للمدح. Now here is really, some people have said it's really نائمة, but because it's now a specific form, the نائمة changes to نعمة. So فعل ماض للمدح مبني على الفتح. Good. And then الولي فاعل مرفوع بالضمة. And then the jumla نعم الولي becomes what? خبر مقدم. And the مخصوص or the مخصوص or the مخصوص بالمدح or the مبتدأ مؤخر. مبتدأ مؤخر is what? محذوف. Is right? نعم الملي هو. And why is it hidden? Because we understand it from the previous sentence. Understood? It's fa'al. It's kind of fa'al, is it? Fa'lun madin. But because it has a special meaning, we have to add in the word what? What's it for? To show praise. You have to say fa'lun madin lil madhi. So normally we don't have to add this in, like in daraba, sami'a, fataha. But because you have additional meaning, then you have to add that in. So fa'lun madin lil madhi. And it's mabni. What's it mabni on? Al-Fatih. Why is it not sukoon? Because the ta is separate altogether. That's the alam to ta'neeth. Then the here inside is what? This is what? Dhamirun mustatir. A hidden dhamir inside. Because it's becoming the fa'il So what's the i'rab going to be? Marfu. Is it lafdhan or mahallan? Mahallan, because you can't see it and there's no dhamma, no alama on it. Okay, so it's i'rab is mahallan. Then the ta, what's the ta? Alamatul ta'neeth. That ta, it's not a file, it's nothing. It's basically the alamatul ta'neeth, to make sure, to tell us that the verb is feminine. And it's mabni alas. What's it mabni on? Malas sukun, ni'mat. Then the ibadatan is what's it becoming? It's mansoob. Why is it mansoob? It's tamyizun. How is it mansoob? What's the alama of the nasab? Good. Bil fathati. The mansoob tamyizun mansoob bil fatha. And then the jumla, this jumla here, that becomes what? Khabarun muqaddam. Because the khabar is going to be marfu', and jumla is going to have marfu' mahallan. And then the word salah is going to be the mubtada. Very good. Mubtada mu'akhar. What's the i'rab? Marfu'un. What's the sign? Marfu'. Marfu' lafzi. We don't say lafzi. You just put the lafzi. What is it? It's i'rab lafzi. We don't say marfu' lafzi. Say marfu' bidamma. Good. Understood? Very good. فعل ماض للمدح مبني على الفتح. ذا becomes what? This here. ذا is اسم الإشارة فاعل محلا and then مبني على السكون. Good. And then that's خبر مقدم. Go ahead. مرفوع محل G. Carry on. And then we have خالد مبتدأ مؤخر. Yes. مرفوع بالضمة. And then جار becomes what? تمييز منصوب بالفتحة. Good. So in this one, it's the exact same, everything's the same as the previous one. The only difference is the jumla to حبذا is going to become what? This حبذا is going to, حبذا is going to become خبر مقدم, زينب become مبتدأ مؤخر. The only difference here is that min is going to be حرف جار. What is it going to be? حرف جار مبني على السكون. Then زينب becomes what? No, مؤلمة becomes بالكسرة. And then the شبه الجملة. This شبه الجملة becomes what now? تمييز غير سري. Because the same we have حبذا زينب مؤلمة, حبذا زينب من مؤلمة. So it's تمييز غير صريح. And then that becomes what? منصوب محلا. Because it's تمييز, so تمييز has a منصوب محلا. Okay, so that's the i'rab of the فعل المدح والذم. Any questions? Okay, سبحان الله وبحمده سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك ونشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت ونستغفرك ونتوب إليك.